Most Australians buy one investment property and stop forever. The 10% who build real wealth do a few things differently. Let's break that down. Here is what's wild. According to the latest ATO data, 71% of property investors in Australia own just one investment property. One. And they stay stuck there for years, sometimes decades. Meanwhile, a small group, less than 30%, go on to build property portfolios that actually change their financial future. So what's stopping everyone else? And more importantly, how do you make sure you are in that 10% who actually break through? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you will have a clear roadmap to go from your first property to your second and beyond. Hi, I'm Rajan Sharma and I'm a property investor here in Australia, and I spend my days helping everyday Aussies build wealth through smart property investing. I'm not here to sell you a course or promise you overnight riches. I'm here to show you what actually works, the strategies, the mindset, and the finance moves that separate the people who own one property from the people who own 5, 10 or more. And look, I get it. Buying your first investment property is huge. It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. And for a lot of people, it feels like crossing the finishing line. But here is the truth. Owning one property makes you an investor. Owning multiple properties makes you financially free. So by the end of this video, you will know exactly why most investors get stuck after property number one, and more importantly, what you need to do to break through that ceiling. Let's dive in. Why 90% never buy their second property? Alright, let's paint a picture here. You're a first-time investor. You have saved for years. You have done the research. You have finally pulled the trigger on an investment property. Maybe it's a unit in Brisbane, maybe it's a townhouse out in Perth. Wherever it is, you feel amazing. You are now officially a property investor. Fast forward 12 months. The excitement is worn off. You are getting rental income, sure, but it's not quite covering the mortgage and all the other costs. Interest rates have gone up. Maintenance costs hit you out of nowhere. Your tenant moved out and you had a few weeks of vacancy. Suddenly, this investment that was supposed to make you wealthy is draining you. Sounds familiar? Here is what happens next. For most people, they tighten their belts. They tell themselves this is just part of the game, and they wait. They wait for the property to go up in value. They wait for their income to increase. They wait for the right time to buy again. And before they know it, 5 years go by, then 10, and they never buy that second property. This is the reality for majority of Australian property investors. And it's not because they don't want more wealth. It's because they hit a wall. And that wall is made up of 4 main barriers. Barrier number 1, poor cash flow and over leveraging. Let's talk numbers. The average property investor in Australia earns under $80,000 a year. That's right. 64% of investors have taxable incomes below 80,000. Now, the average new investment loan in Australia is around 674k. Do the math on that. Most lenders will let you borrow up to 6 times your income, which for someone earning 80,000 is around 480k max. But wait, the average loan is 674k. How is that even possible? Because most people use equity from their first home to get started. They leverage up, and that works until it doesn't, because now you're carrying debt, you are negatively geared, and your cash flow is tight. When you try to go for property number 2, the banks look at your income, your debt, and they say, sorry mate, you are maxed out. Barrier number 2, lack of a clear finance strategy. Most first-time investors don't have a strategy. They buy what they can afford at the time. They lock in a standard variable rate. They don't structure their loans properly. And here is the kicker. They don't plan for the next one. The 10% who succeed, they're thinking 3 steps ahead. They're using interest-only loans to maximize cash flow. They're refinancing to access equity. They're working with brokers who understand investment lending, not just owner-occupier loans. There is a massive difference. Fear of debt and risk. This is a huge one. Australians are risk averse by nature. We love our property, but we are also terrified of losing it. And after buying that first investment property, a lot of people feel exposed. They've got a mortgage on their home. They've got a mortgage on the investment. What if something goes wrong? What if I lose my job? What if the market crashes? So they pull back. They play it safe. And playing safe in property investment means staying exactly where you are. No long-term plan or support. Here is the brutal truth. Most investors are whinging it. They bought their first property because their mate did, or because everyone said property is a good investment, but they don't have a plan. They don't know what city to target next. They don't know how much equity they need. They don't have a trusted broker, a mentor, or even a basic roadmap. And without that, you stay stuck and you end up in that 71% who own just one property. Most people buy their first investment property to feel like an investor, but they never build the systems, the strategy, or the mindset to actually become one. That's why they stay stuck. Alright, now let's get into the psychology of this. Because here is what I've learned. The reason most investors don't buy a second property isn't just about money, it's about mindset. There's a field of study called behavioral finance, and it's all about how our brains trick us into making bad financial decisions. And let me tell you, property investing brings out every psychological trap in the book. Loss aversion. There's a big one. Research shows that humans feel losses about twice as strongly as gains. So if your property goes up $50,000 in value, you feel good. But if it drops $25,000, you feel terrible. And that fear of loss paralyzes people. They see the market soften. They hear stories of people losing money and they freeze. They tell themselves, I'll just hold what I've got, and they never expand. The comfort zone trap. Buying your first investment property pushes you away outside your comfort zone. You are taking on debt. You are becoming a landlord. You are dealing with the banks and the brokers and property managers. It's overwhelming. But then something happens. You get used to it. You settle into a routine and your brain goes, okay, this is comfortable now. Let's not rock the boat. And that comfortable zone, it's where wealth goes to die. The 10% who build real wealth, they are comfortable being uncomfortable. They know that growth happens outside the comfort zone. They treat property investment like a business, not a hobby. They're not trying to feel safe. They're trying to build an asset base that gives them freedom. The scarcity mindset. Here is another trap. Scarcity thinking. I can barely afford the one property I have. How am I supposed to buy another? That scarcity mindset, and it's based on fear, not facts. Because here is the thing, if you structured your first property right and you have built some equity over a few years, you probably can afford a second one. But your brain is telling you you can't, and you believe it. The 10%, they operate from abundance. They see opportunities everywhere. They know that every property they buy is another step towards financial freedom, and they're willing to do the work to make it happen. The most people buy their first property to feel safe. The wealthy buy property to become free. That's the difference. Alright, enough about why people get stuck. Let's talk about how you break through. Because here is the good news. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be rich. You just need a plan. So let me give you the roadmap. Step 1. Build equity and refinance smartly. Your first property is your launch pad. After 3 to 5 years, if you have bought in a decent area, you should have built some equity, either through capital growth or paying down the loan. Let's say your property is gone from 500k to 600k. That's 100k in equity. Now, here is what most people do. Nothing. They sit on the equity like it's a savings account. Here is what the 10% do. They refinance. They pull that equity out, usually up to 80% of the property's value, and use it as a deposit for property number 2. You're not spending that money. You're redeploying it. You're putting it to work. And here is the key. You want to work with a broker who understands investment lending, not someone who just does home loans for families. You need someone who knows how to structure multiple properties, how to maximize your serviceability, how to deal with the lenders who actually support investors. Step 2. Focus on cash flow plus growth balance. Here is a mistake I see all the time. People chase capital growth and forget about cash flow. They buy in Sydney because Sydney always goes up, and then they are hemorrhaging $500 a week in negative gearing. That's not sustainable. The smart move, find properties that balance both. Brisbane is a great example. Median house price is around 1 million. Rental yield is around 3.6%. Not amazing, but not terrible. Compare that to Sydney, where you are paying $1.5 million for a 3% yield. Or look at Perth. Median price around 900k. Rental yield over 4%. That's cash flow positive territory. And Perth has been growing like crazy. The point is, don't just buy for growth, buy for cash flow too. Because cash flow gives you breathing room. It gives you the ability to hold through the tough times. And it gives you the serviceability to buy property number 2, 3 and 4. Treat property investing as a long-term game. This isn't get rich quick. It's get rich certain. The wealth in property comes from holding, not flipping. It comes from time in the market, not timing the market. The 10% understand this. They are not trying to make a quick buck. They are building a property portfolio that will support them for decades. They are patient, they are disciplined, and they trust the process. So if you are sitting there thinking, I need to buy my second property right now, slow down. Make sure the first one is working. Make sure you have built equity. Make sure your finances are in order. And then when the time is right, pull the trigger. Step 4. Get the right team around you. You can't do this alone. You need a broker who gets investors. You need a good accountant who understands strategies. You need a buyer's agent or a property strategist if you are not confident picking the right areas yourself. And honestly, you need a mentor or a community of people who are on the same journey, because you are surrounded by people who are playing at your level or higher. You lift your game. When everyone around you owns one property and says that's enough, guess what? You will believe them. But if you are around people who own 5, 10 properties, you'll start thinking, why not me? You don't build wealth by playing safe. You build it by planning smart. And the second property, that's where the real wealth journey begins. Alright, let's wrap this up. Here is what we covered today. Most Australian property investors, 71% of them own just one investment property and never buy another. They get stuck because of cash flow issues, fear of debt, lack of strategy and limited beliefs. But the 10% who break through, they think differently. They build equity and refinance smartly. They work with the right brokers. They focus on properties that balance cash flow and growth. They treat investing as a long-term game. And they surround themselves with people who are building wealth, not just surviving. So here's my challenge to you. If you've already bought your first investment property, don't let it be your last. Start planning for number 2 right now. Look at your equity, talk to a broker, get clear on your strategy. And if you haven't bought your first property yet, start thinking like the 10% from day one. Because here's the truth. Owning one property makes you an investor. Owning multiple makes you financially free. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button. I post videos every single week helping Aussies just like you build wealth through smart property investing. Drop a comment below and let me know, do you own one property, 2 or more? And what's holding you back from the next one? Let's keep building. I'll see you in the next video.